All right, so let's all work together throughout this report. So first of all, I'm gonna be leaving uh links to this Fire Eye report. So it's about an APT group 39. It's been identified as an Iranian cyber spionage group focused on personal information. So quickly, what we're gonna do, we're gonna apply what the exercise is trying to teach us, which is relating techniques that are used by threat actors while we make building up reports. So, since the hunting for threats, you're trying to build a report. So this type of exercise is definitely helpful to help you take a look at more or less how it should be built. And also it does help us to more or less map attacks into techniques so we can start getting used to, getting close to the ropes and, learn them out. So what I'm going to say is this is the report. Let me scroll down slowly. I'm going to read it so we can go through together and then we're going to start answering the questions. But I also want to make sure that you have an understanding of what we're doing. So, it has the intro for, for you to grasp your head around it. And it's going to have blanks for you to fill in. So over here, what we see, now we start seeing clues. These are clues that are given, you know, has a little bit of explanation and then, they go clues. So it'll be 17, 18 in total. That, what the point is we're gonna map an attack. We're gonna match the procedures for this APT group. So let's say I'm gonna show you a attack map for APT. So this is what you can do. You can just go along with me. APT 39. 39. All right, we got something. So it's a group. Going back to this. And we have descriptions and everything. Well, let's go into some of the techniques used by this group. Let's get 39. So here's the record of APT 39. Let's figure out. I'm gonna take you to the attack layer navigator. This is useful too. You're gonna, most of the clues that we're gonna have, they're gonna be here on the use techniques, because the purpose of this exercise is to match techniques that's being used to the report that's already been written. So over here, there's the attack navigator layer. So we're gonna say view. You click and say view. In a little second, it's gonna upload. All right, so this is the navigator attack layer for APT 39. You can see it over here at the top. And whatever is in blue, it's showing that they use this, but let's quickly get familiar. All right, so right here, if the attack, let's say, started with resource development, it'll have more or less the familiar tools that they use, let's say, for SQL injection, it'll be okay. So this is part of it. So let's say for initial access, whatever is in blue right here, you see, like we saw earlier, there's a spear phishing attachment, a spear phishing links. So that's what we're gonna put in the report. So let's go right ahead and figure out where in the report we can fit this. And the same goes going forward. So you see everything that's in blue are our resources. So, I mean, if you may not be so familiar with the techniques and the faces, there's of what this means on top, meaning like the reconnaissance, resource development, initial access, execution, persistence. You see, it has 19 techniques, um, privilege escalation, defense evasions. All these are techniques, but they got sub techniques, meaning, let's say, credential access. How do you access credentials? With one of the techniques that this group used was brute force. So right here you can tell brute force is technique 1-1-10. So you can point at it. Over here is a 1-1-10. Sometimes it comes out a little small. So if you want to get closer to that, you can take that let's say, and take it to the other side and say, let's say brute force technique 1-1-10. Use the search engine brute force. And then you see the technique right here, 1-1-10. If you want to get more into, you just want to learn what brute force is. An adversary, adversaries may use brute force techniques to gain access to accounts when passwords are known or when password hashes are obtained. So it means illicitly breaking hashes and discovering the passwords. So that's something you can use. So sub techniques right here: password guessing, cracking, spraying, and stuffing. All these are techniques that underline as sub techniques for using brute force. So that's more or less how it works. The tactics, as I say, are like can be used as a step walkthrough and identifying techniques and sub techniques. So reconnaissance is a tactic. Resource development is a tactic. Initial access is a tactic. Execution is a tactic. So everything that's on top of the navigator layer over here, they identify as tactics and they have techniques inside. So discovery, lateral, it's a tactical game. We are at war. So look at it from that point. And we're gonna be going back and forth from to the layer over here, but linking up with the exercise. So here's there's two things that we can do. I actually will be going back and forth because you can get a broader information on the report by just looking at the report, because the questions, as you can see, they have they cut out the information when we say, let's say for the first one, let's answer the first one. So APT uses a variety of custom and publicly available malware and tools at all stages of the attack life cycle. So that's what we got for that one. And then initial compromise. Let's say initial compromise is a clue because it's the attack map. Let's say initial access, brute force. So over here we're gonna find something that has to do with the initial compromise. So that means initial access, and then execution might be the next thing that we're gonna be looking at if we are following this. So I'm gonna introduce you to it because I've been kind of like hesitating going around it. So let's close that one out because that's a whole different report. So let's get to the introduction. So in December 2018, FireEye identified APT-39 as an Iranian cyber espionage group responsible for widespread theft of personal information. We have tracked activity linked to this group since November 2014 in order to protect organizations from APT-39 activity to the date. So APT-39 is focused on the widespread theft of personal information set apart from operations, disruptive attacks, and other threats. APT-39 likely focuses on personal information, as I said, to support monitoring, tracking, or surveillance operations that serve Iran's national priorities, or potentially to create additional access and vectors to facilitate future campaigns. APT-39 was created to bring together previous activities and methods used by this actor, and its activities largely align with group publicly referred as Schaefer. However, there are differences in what has been publicly reported due to the variances in how organizations track activity. APT-39 primarily leverages seaweed and cash money backdoors, along with a specific variance of the pullback backdoor. While AP339's targeting scope is global, its activities are concentrated in the Middle East. APT-39 has prioritized the telecommunications sector with additional targeting of the travel industry and IT firms that supports it and the high-tech industry. The countries and industries targeted by AP339 are depicted in figure one. So here we got the map and who they are focusing on over here on telecom, high tech, government, business, they coming for everybody. So operational intent, APT-39 focus on telecommunications and travel industry suggests intends to perform monitoring, tracking, and surveillance operations against a specific individuals to collect proprietary or customer data for commercial operation purposes that serve as strategic requirements related to national priorities or create additional access and vectors to facilitate future campaigns. Governments and entities Targeting suggests potential secondary intent to collect geopolitical data that may benefit nation state decision making. Targeting data supports the beliefs that APT 39's key mission is to track or monitor targets of interest, collect personal information, including travel itineraries, and gather customer data from telecommunication firms. I ran Nexus indicator. We have moderated confidence. APT-39 operations are conducted in support of Iranian national interest based on regional targeting patterns focused on the Middle East, infrastructure timing, and similarities to AP334, a group that loosely aligns with activity publicly reported as oil rig. While APT-39 and APT-34 share some similarities, including malware distribution methods, backdoors use, infrastructure nomenclature, infrastructure nomenclature, and targeting overlaps, we consider AP339 to be distinct from AP334, given its use of resources at some level, like different PowerBats variants, and something that we're going to look into. So it is possible this group, these groups work or share some of the resources. So attack cycle, that's nice. Now we're gonna go into the exercise. So AP3 uses a variety of custom and publicly available malware tools that all stages the attack life cycle. So quickly, I'm gonna go ahead and also get the other report, which has just the report. I'm gonna put it up so I can have it. So if anything, I can also use some of the clues from that part, because it makes it a little easier to get the full-on description, although you're not gonna get the answer from that, but it's also a good resource, to start, using the training wheels. So let's go and grab that. It's the original report. And let me see, we can just back this up next to it as it's coming up. And of course, I'm gonna leave you guys links so you use this. So it's going to be on the side. I'm gonna work side by side. All right, so let's get to answer question. So we know it leverages spear phishing. So let's go that's on Ford. It says that uses a variety of custom and publicly available malware and tools that all stages. So we're talking about staging. So for that, you need to deliver the attack of the life cycle. So let's say initial compromise. For initial compromise, fire intelligence, use malicious emails is the clue. Attachment or and hyperlinks, and then typically result in a PowerBat infection and APT 39 frequently register and leverage domains that masquerade as legitimate web services and organizations that are relevant to the intended target. All right, so where we start here. Let's quickly look for, let's get back to it. How they deal with attachments. So the techniques used. So let's say if you don't want to scroll too much on this, what you can do is take the lead and say spear phishing attachment. Phishing. Turn on enterprise spear phishing attachment. That's O1. So that's initial access. So that's our first clue. Are we gonna use it? Starting from that. And then sub techniques. So you guys spear phishing attach. So back. Versus spear phishing. So let's do this. Initial access. And let's put in the technique. As right now, I'm just going to copy paste and see how it looks. Okay, so it went up there. I mean the order does matter, and you know, maybe you find something that makes more sense, because a lot of these things, they are very close to, you know, to different sub techniques. Some of them, you know, they cross path and they overlap. So the next one, you know, there's another way that they also use for this phishing, and we'll go with the other one, spear link. We use spear link on this, so is the other technique that we found. So spear phishing link. Spear phishing link, and then just like copy paste on that, and it's still initial access. So those are two. We got these two, and if you look at the attack map, when you go to initial access techniques, is, you know, they're using these two mainly under phishing. So I also see valid accounts, and it has just that. So let's see if we can fit that somewhere. So initial compromise as far as intelligence has observed AB3 leverage spear phishing emails with attachment. We got those, we already have those two, and or hyperlinks. So we got attachment and links. So let's leave that alone. Typically resulting in a bad infection. So let's say frequently registered and leverage domain that masquerade as legitimate web services and organizations that are relevant to the target, to the intended target. So it does a little bit of masquerading. So let's take those clues of the initial compromise. And let me see, I want to look at the next part of this. Let's check initial access. So how do they do initial access? Let's take this out. Let's take out this initial access, resource development. So access, so they get initial access, and then we have, so what happens after you get somebody to click a link? Let's say maybe file execution. Let's look into this. Let's look into this. This might make sense. Do a sequence. It could either be exploited by PowerShell, Python, or basic Visual Basic, or maybe scheduling a task, or service execution, malicious file, right? Malicious link also. It could all come through an email. So we could get our conclusion right now, quickly. So let me check on some of these sub techniques. So user execution of malicious file. And malicious link. Let's figure out which techniques are they talking about here. Let's see. So service execution. So in the execution, so Hassan is spear phishing emails, and I tend to lower users to click. So once a click happens, malicious attachment. So this is a solid lead right here. Malicious file and malicious, we got service execution. So in service execution, we have post exploitation tools, how to use post exploitation tools, including Rencom, and then SACking Service Manager and NSSM. So after this execution, I'll go with malicious files and malicious link. So malicious files is technique 1204.002. So let me see. Oh, I can select these things. but we're not gonna select anything. We're just gonna see if I can pull it up over here. Let's say let's go out because we're at the execution phase. So let's just picture that somebody click on these links, obviously. It could be found here, but we're just gonna write that down because let me clarify this. So initial access, and then let's say execution, because we're at the execution phase, execution, and next we're going to use these two techniques that we found on execution, which is malicious file, malicious files, and malicious link. So I'm gonna use technique 1204. Let me see under what category execution. Execution. So malicious files and malicious link. This one. And there's sub techniques from execution. So we got the two right here, malicious file and malicious link. So we keep using it because they executed from the phishing emails. So I'm pretty sure that this is what we have for malicious file and malicious link. Leverage the spear phishing. So in order for your attack to have any effect, they need to be executed. So we're gonna use T12 also to add it to our report. So I don't know, it doesn't look. Let's put answer for. That's right there, but you know the description, the hint is not giving us. You can't really see it. But maybe from here someone can look at, you know, that's the answer. So moving on. I saw never heard of Powerback. So let's say emails with malicious attachments or hyperlinks typically result in a Powerback infection. So AP339 frequently register, leverage domains, masquerade as legitimate web services and organizations that are relevant to the intended target. So right here, this includes masquerade is defense avoidance as, and then you know registering web services and organization that are relevant. So yeah, this happens, and furthermore, this group has routinely identified and exploited vulnerable web servers of target organizations to install web shells. And then we got names right here. So if we want to link this to that, we can use these names, and I will copy paste this the attack just to look and see what comes up. Also, yeah, shuffle group uses it. We all got the techniques. Software components. They are done for persistence. Let me see the sub. Web shells. Do we have anything with web shells on top? So persistence seems to be what we're talking right here. So server software components, web shells. So let's go with technique 1505.03 for the answer on this. And let's go check what we have. Because it links to those right here. And then to compromise externally facing web access, Outlook web access. So we can try to look into that too. So let's go over here and persistence. And then server software component, web shells, and then right there sets that registers domains that masquerade and legitimate web services and organizations relevantly. So web services, server software component, web shell. So let's read about web shells a little bit, but we can start answering that one. So let's say it's for persistent after execution. They're going to a little persistent because the PowerBot infection breaks out, and its technique 1503 with the web shell. And then next, furthermore, this group has routinely identified and exploited vulnerable web servers. So after they're they're inside, all they try to do is to mask this. What the PowerBot does is to mask domains that look familiar in the system. So that is that. So then target organizations to install web shells such as ATT&CK and ASPX SPY and use stolen legitimate credentials to compromise externally facing web applications. So this right here establish the persistent, and then take credentials, like this is some absolutely some kind of backdoor already. And then these credentials that are used, they're actually being used in applications that are facing outside. So let's see what's on this ATT&CK. Let's say if they have something on Outlook web access, for this, let's just put it on. Or let's just look at web shell, not structured means. So that's what we have. Let's see what we got. See what we have with those names. Um, I'm taking this as a clue. Install web shells. So something came up on this. Let's see if we have our group. So AP3 39. Um, on this one uses it has stolen credentials to compromise. So what technique is it? Enterprise T. This is web services, bi-directional communication. AP339 has communicated with C2 through files uploaded and downloaded from Dropbox, software ID names, 007, other groups right here that use it in the that has used it in a different way, but you want to stay in the same path because your group right here is showing this. So let's say so enterprise. So this is the line right here. We got 1078 valid accounts. AP3 uses stolen credentials. So we'll go with, let's say, 1078 initial access valid accounts. We go into that. Valid accounts, just to confirm. So that one is 1078 for initial access to the web web Outlook web access facing externally. So quickly, let's keep moving to the next one. Um, establish a foothold escalates privileges and internal reconnaissance. So now we're talking about you know, figuring out the infrastructure internally and moving after, establishing uh, a potential foothold in the system. So right here, let's say post post compromise APT3 leverages custom backdoors such as seaweed and cashmere and a unique. So here's what I was saying, that I also want access to the other part because you know it may be a little more difficult to go through. So let's say after that line cash money, I'll come and look at the entire line on the report because it is available for a reason. The cash money alone, the cash money backdoor along with a specific variance of power backdoor. So when I look into this, it wasn't provide much info provided for power back on the platform. Let me see. And the report comes up trading cards. Probably available into that stage. I thought we tried to compromise for initial compromise by our serve phishing email malicious. So it's not much we're gonna get on this, but if you have a backdoor based on a banned persistent threat, cyberexpert.com, let me see if they have something. Mm, but they have recommendations on this. They have recommendations on this. So um let's keep using support of what we have. So I'm gonna read a little deeper on this because while 39 B39 is targeting the scope of global activities. Okay. So back to the clues. We're looking for leverage custom backdoors such as seaweed and cash money, a unique environment. That's the next line. So doing privilege escalation, really available tools such as Minicat. I'm sure you guys heard of this. And C crack has been observed. So when we're talking about um, of course, this backdoor ASAP technique. So what are this? I mean, this right here is a an infection with, of course, a rootkit to establish a backdoor. And now, I'm guessing these are the tools that's being displayed after this established foothold to escalate privileges and internal recognition. So a port scanner is used for internal recognition, mimikatz, Windows credential, custom scripts. So let's look into this. So escalate privilege, let's see where it falls into all this. We got initial access, execution, persistence, schedule task. So our persistent at the time was, use it you use web shell to install ATT&CK and the other web shell. All right, so moving forward, we have valid accounts, which is technique 1079. And now we're heading close to privilege escalation. So let's see anything that is close to what we're looking for. So running the registry for persistence, shortcut modification, LKN. Registry keys. No, that's not. Okay, has created schedule task for persistence. Persistence, and let's move forward because we're looking for more related privilege escalation task. Keep looking. All right, let's go back to some of these things that might have information. So if the web shell was able to use credentials, against those web access Outlook applications, and you use valid accounts. So that means all of this took place with the mimikatz and everything, and the NC crack. So answer 7, credential access is one I think we should be looking at, because the backdoors are made by having access to accounts, and a lot of these clues you know they're leading for either privilege escalation or internal reconnaissance. So let's see what we got with credentials. Big jobs. Schedule task. That's located that. My drive encrypted in house. valid accounts, use stolen credentials to compromise Outlook web. That's what we have on that. So after that, that's it. Nothing on that. So we're back in Fastback tools with UPX, and it has repack modified version. Malware call signing notification. Uh, has used malware to turn off the required sign features, which uses only sign via those can be run on Windows. Is that what we are? Match legitimate names and locations. Something that has to do with credentials. Let me see. Match and tools. Practice tool communication, closely mimicking and legitimate communication. So we're looking for a bypass technique. So file deletion has used malware to delete files after deploy, after our deploy or compromise. Let's see. We still, this is defense evasion. Let me close some of this. OS credential dumping. Credential dumping technique 1003. Look familiar with me. Yeah, let's use this one because credential dumping means copying credentials after doing some scanning. So if I'm copying passwords, so this is T1003. T1003. Answer for 7. T1003. And that one falls into the category of use the conventional Unicode. I think I got something closer. Has used Mimikatz window credentials editor and proc dump to dump credentials. All right, so let's look at the version of T1003. Let's look at something. T1003. Let's look at what we have on this. Let's just click anyone. 8 sub-techniques and its credential access. So let's look at this. So copy memory, Adversaries may attempt to access credentials. Material is stored in the process memory at the local security authority subsystem service, local security authority subsystem service. Credentials and materials in LSSS process memory. These credentials are material that can be harvested and in administrative users or system and used to conduct lateral movement and using alternate authentication material. So you can bypass with this. Um, Here you can see some of the commands they can use. You can put this in work at a home lab. And this is our answer for this one. So it's credential access. And we are using ID 10.3.1. Let's see. Yeah, this right here is right. So we get a credential access. List. So web shell. So yeah, it does make sense that after you install a web shell, you want to scrape, and what they're looking is credentials using these tools and Windows. So after that, where will you use it? So let's read along. During the privilege escalation, which happens by exploiting the vulnerabilities on memory at the LSASS. So during the privilege escalation, freely available tools such as Mimikatz and ATT&CK have been observed in addition to legitimate tools such as Windows credentials, um, editor, and program. So that was up there. What we use was Mimikatz actually copy. So after this dot right here, we're gonna answer these two. Internal reconnaissance, that's our clue, has been performed using custom scripts and both freely available and custom tools such as more scanners, Bluetooth. So we can look into Bluetooth, and also after that, internal reconnaissance has been performed using custom scripts. Let's take a quick look at what we find. If this software is related to our network discovery technique, is it related to our group AP339 foreclosure? Um, it's for network scanning. So network services discovery. We got two answers on this. Execution, command, and scripting. So custom scripts. So we have to mostly match these clues. Meaning, if we, if Mimikat was used for the answer role, and then Windows credentials is another one. So after the lines, our first clue is custom scripts. So what is related to custom scripts? Command and execution, scripting, interpreter. So let's say, and then we're gonna deal with Blue Torch. I'm sorry, maybe it was my mistake. Um, maybe, okay, so custom scripts. Let me see if we got any APTs. So technique, automated collection, one-stamp Panda use custom script to collect files from all right, so I'm back to the 339. And the clue is while looking for scripts that executed for custom scripts and both freely available and custom, such as the port scanner, Blue Torch, so Windows credential editor, drop down. So internal reconnaissance has been performed using custom scripts and both freely. So before we deal with the port scanner Blue Torch, we have to figure out what executed. So that's command execution and scripting. We say execution, command, and scripting interpreter. So let's go into a type map. Okay, we have command and execution. Service name, malicious name, service execution. Python, a script execution. Execution and scripting interpreter. Let me look at all these techniques. Yeah, this is getting to that one. Look for, let's see, crack, people stealing content of the clipboard. Command and scripting interpreter right here. So it's 1059. So look, a little description has utilized outdoor and custom scripts as the clue says to perform internal reconnaissance. I saw 1015 and I was suspecting PowerShell, visual basics and Python. So I'm just gonna focus on this 1059 because that's what I use for the exploit. Command scripting interpreter is the answer. And that technique is categorized as execution, as I thought. So let's go into execution. All right, so after you execute scripts for internal reconnaissance that has been, you know, then both freely available tools. Let's use Blue Torch, for example, or just scroll down because I'm pretty sure they have it. Right here and the other techniques. Anyone could be any of these commands could be executed from any of those commands could be like PowerShell, CMD. So it'll be like other Windows executing commands. So what is the name that we force kind of Blue Torch, APT39, use it, 1046 network discovery. Us use grab map exec and custom proof scanner, Mars, Blue Torch framework scanner, so enterprise 1046. Enterprise 1046 and service discovery. So we'll say discovery. 1046 on that one. So moving on to 10. So after you scan, do some scanning and it successfully does what you need to do, you need to move laterally. So let's look at the clues. For lateral movement, our first clue, maintain presence. Um, let's get the full on report, lateral movement. Also for lateral movement, maintain presence and complete its mission. Okay, so we're right here. So facilitates lateral movement through Mariah tools such as remote desktop protocol. So let's use that for our first answer and see if it has any relation. Remote desktop protocol. What technique is this? It's sub technique. Is all these techniques. So I'm assuming like the SSH, the BNC, and back connect. We're gonna use this one. 1021 and embed it right here, and that's for lateral. And then again, tools such as remove and then secure web shell. That's for lateral movement tool and a variety. Secure web shell. Go back. SSA secure web shell. 102104. That's all the answer. Lateral movement. SSA secure web shell. It's the same thing. And then our next clue, custom tools such as red trip, pink trip, blue trip also use to create SOC5 proxies um, between infected hosts. So let's clear any little confusion. So we have that this one clue right here. So it matches this clue matches the above. So our next one is between infected hosts. So let's see what this relates to. Any clues for answer 12? Let's go ahead. Nothing. You can host. Mm, Custom tools such as red trip, pink trip, and blue trip. Blue trip. I've also used to create SAT5 proxies. SAT5 proxies between infected hosts. So, they're infecting hosts in the environment that they has discovered, and these tools are being used to create SAT5 proxies. So between hosts. So it's the same clue. So proxies between hosts, SAT5 proxies between hosts. Let's see if it has any. Five, five. Um, Proxies. Mm, is there anything related to our root? Let's see. Let's scroll down and look for SAC5. Okay, so internal proxies. Let's look at the clue once more. Before, in addition to, so it has also been used to create sacrifice proxies between infected hosts. So where are the lateral movement, and this is heading to like C2. So we got two external proxies and internal proxies. So external has various tools to practice C2 communication. That sounds like something I read. Let's look at the ratio between infected host. Also has been used to create some practice between infected hosts. In addition to in addition, collateral has used its protocol to maintain persistence in the victim environment. Created mission, archive storms with a operation tools such as WinRAR or 7C. SAT5 using this one because I want to see which one has the makes the more sense. So I might just check quickly, check quickly again, and I'll see if I can narrow the search. Proxy between infected hosts. What's the technique? Use customs tool to create custom protocol proxy between hosts. So I'll go with sort of 10 maybe. And maybe see what we got. And then between infected hosts. So infected host meaning inside. So use custom tool to create SACPI custom praxis between infected hosts. So we have internal praxis right here. So let's proceed to communication, which is external. So our answer is 1090. So 12, we have this. And That technique is classified as C2. Control. So then, WinRAR, let's take this and see if we can find this. And quickly on AP339 uses WinRAR, or we find this APT uses WinRAR to compress archives. So technique is 1560 one quickly we can use collection. Collection of filtration. So let me check going in, they say collection. So we have collection today. And then, so these are our three clues on this one. LIKN shortcuts for 14. Let's go. Let's go back. Maybe we got something right here because we got our case moving close here. So LIKN shortcuts over here is 15. And it has 14 sub techniques of LAKN. LAKN. Obviously, this one. Both are logging auto start execution shortcut. Okay, so obviously we have our answer on this one. This um boot or logo auto start. Minus 15 or one. Oh, one. Minus persistent. And this one. And also we have a sub technique that I want to include, which is execution shortcut modification with process drivers to allow execution. It's both for this, both of them other stuff, shortcut modifications. So this one is another sub technique because they are together right here. So what I will do is just put them both techniques because they're for and then you got both techniques, systems. The next one is schedule task. Start a folder. Also, a little confused, so I use this new up here, so I will go down here because that's the next one. So we'll go with those two. But this one is for scheduling tasks, and that one first, and the you know, all right, so that makes sense because we got clues. And next, let's move into the next clue. Startup folder. So what we do, we look for anything that matches startup folder, or we can do this. Startup folder. Nope, we already got that. Let's swing right around. Source escalation and persistence.
When you need that, so we got two techniques right here. So bear with me quickly. We don't know any other side. Let's continue with the so let's record locally. Folder. This one is 1547. 1547. 47. Yeah, shoot. Mm, we got 1547 at the top, so um, system, we can put on both. Or put it at the installation and the distance we're plugging. And let's take a look at the second one, which is schedule tasks. So when you scheduling out time, we mm, oh, this, yeah, schedule times. So let's dance. Three and fourth number of kind of long. Four BTS. We got two left. BTS. Let's do that. Three is used for a bunch of techniques. We for user discovery. Also indicated that IPTV program users demonstrate um, the operational security to bypass detection. Okay, so modify version of mimicards. So this is a discovery tool that will scan for the system for whatever get closest to discovery. So, let me see if there's anything. Yeah, the discovery, remote system discovery, and that's what it's used for. 1018. 1018 is the technique. One is discovery. Because it's willing to move, scanning for users. It could be on the technique varies and different things that we're looking for. This can be this scan looks for discovery and of the user base. There are more indicators equity that none demonstrate the functions for operational security to bypass detection. Bypass detection. So we pack 12. This is our group antivirus. Spot some out of the three. ATT&CK files, and this is 1027, 102702, 102702. So let's look for O2 software packing, and this defense evasion. Defense evasion. Paste. Right, so we got to the end of this, and I'll be posting this up for you guys. We'll give you some information on getting better at looking for threats and hunting them and adding them to your reports. And this could help you map techniques and tactics using the MITRE attack, which is very useful. It helps you build your story. And it's definitely something I'll keep using and getting better at. So, wanted to see you up there. Leave any comments if you think I could improve what I'm doing. I don't have uh, social media presence and I'm not a YouTuber or anything like that. I'm just doing this for the strength of wanting to get better and to maybe motivate some people in this movement. And I find these things very useful because they are helping me become better. And thank you very much. It's been a pleasure. My name is Danny. Bye.